Good morning, traders. This is your morning market breakdown on the GBP US dollar. You would notice that we have a tremendous break in trend. It has gone through all of our technicals. It must be feeling like we're on a bit of a wild ride at the moment with all the currency pairs, as we are just seeing that these technicals that I previously laid out are failing. It's a bit of a shame. However, we can quite clearly see that we have changed character. We are now heading into the downside. However, if we drop down to the 4-hourly frame, what I have found this morning is that we have a very interesting area here where the price may begin having a bit of a reaction. And so I am actually looking for a short-term long position. I want to trade the pullback. And so if we drop down to the hourly frame, what I'm actually waiting for is whether or not this line gets broken. So if we see a bit of a retracement coming up here and it breaks above this line, then what we'll likely see is a potential area where the price will come and retest. And that would be then where I would potentially enter for 1 to 2.5 risk to reward ratio. That would be my play on the GBP USD. However, yeah, it's a very precarious market. Like, I'll be happy with that type of setup, but ultimately, if we zoom out, what we are likely seeing is that price is going to continue and retrace back into this area. And if it does, then sure, using your technical analysis, you may be looking for short positions today, especially jumping in on that pullback. So usually the price will come down. It will pull back slightly before then heading lower. I'm looking for that pullback personally. But yeah, ultimately, we may see the price come all the way down back into this area here. And then I would be looking for long positions thereafter. Euro US dollar, we are looking for a very similar setup. We can see that the price had come up, it failed to break that high, and now it's just free falling on the daily time frame. Free falling now back into the downside. And so what we might end up see happening is that the price come down to this daily demand before the next reaction. And you can see I already put in a potential setup there. We could see the price retrace a little bit on the lower time frames before then heading down, but ultimately we seem to be on our way down with the euro dollar. We are seeing an original bit of struggle here within this verified potential tap in demand zone. If we drop down into the lower time frames, again, very similar setup like the GBP USD. This could be an area where we would see the first pullback. And if you were looking at trading the pullback, then okay, this could be an interesting region. I wouldn't say no to it, because we see 1, 2, almost 3, 4, now 5 touch points into this zone. It's a pretty high potential setup, right? So that is why I've been looking at trading these pullbacks, because I see that this might be a very good indication that we are about to head up just a little bit before then heading down, if we are going to continue in this direction into the downside. But ultimately, we'll likely see something like this, where it pulls back and then comes back down and seeks support within this unverified demand zone. And I think this is the 4-hourly one, but it also aligns with the daily as well. So it aligns with a daily demand zone now. So that's my setup for Euro US dollar. For JP, this has just been a whole manipulation. Bank of Japan, I think, stepped in. That's what these large, strong pushes into the downside are. Quite a bit of manipulation there. So what we might end up seeing with the US dollar to Japanese yen is that the price is now crawling slowly back into the upside. I'm on the daily time frame, by the way. Might climb back up into here around the 160-ish mark before then being manipulated again. That is a potential setup, but at the moment I'm staying away from the USD JPY, because there's just so much manipulation. Look at this push into the downside. I think they got a strike from the IMF for doing this, and so it's just a roller coaster. But what we could end up seeing at the moment is, we know that the price will likely have a reaction when it reaches this level. How it gets to that level is what you want to be looking out for. So we could see it come down here into this area and then push itself up, albeit very, very slowly back up into this area before then pushing itself back down. But again, like I said, there's too much manipulation on this currency pair at the moment, so I do not want to play around with that at all. Heading over to the DXY, we are seeing it slowly now approach a potential liquidity area. I found this liquidity area because it's very difficult to really judge this one. Firstly, because of this huge manipulation here, very annoying, and this massive gap that was left when the market opened on the Monday morning on the 6th of April. So what we're seeing is that this potential push into the upside, I'm quite certain that it's going to break this market structure. When it breaks this market structure, we are likely going to then use this area as the target for when it comes back down. So we could be seeing the price coming up just a little bit more. I don't know if it's going to break this manipulation. If it does, that would be quite interesting. And then I think it will begin to fall thereafter, especially with Trump in China at the moment for discussions with Xi Jinping, that they could find a resolution between China might help find a resolution within the Middle East, and then that would push the DXY aggressively down. If that setup fails, so if it doesn't have a reaction there and it continues up, then we'll likely see that pullback, and then this will be the next zone that I will be looking at for that potential reversal to happen. Right, heading over to BTC USDT, wonderful. We can actually see that the price had come down to this verified demand zone. It is now pushing itself up. Let's just drop down to the lower frames here. So you can see it came down, it went past that zone that I originally wrote out, came down, entered into that verified demand zone, had that reaction. Now it's pushing itself back up, which is expected when entering into those demand zones. So we could see happen is a slight retracement down and then pushing up. What I would be waiting for is to see whether or not these highs get broken with full body candle breaks. If we do, because we can see there's a bit of a struggle here, if we can see this break above with a full body candle, then I'd be relatively happy to enter into a long position on BTC USDT. Let's take a look at gold. That is in a free fall. Of course, it's going to be in a free fall because of the DXY going up. The correlation between the DXY and gold is very apparent, and we can usually always see that. It's quite clear where gold wants to go. We've seen a very nice breakish structure again with a full body candle break, so this is not going to slow down anytime soon until we likely reach this zone here. I think once the price re-enters into this zone, we're going to see an initial reaction, maybe come up and take out the day's open before then continuing down, breaking market structure. So we are now bearish on gold at this point in time, and I would be looking for I'll be looking to to trade the pullback and then ultimately follow it down to hopefully break this previous lower low. That would be my setup for gold at the moment. And there it is, traders. That is my technical analysis of the markets today. Of course, you should go ahead and do your own research. And as you know, this is not financial advice. Thank you again. I will be putting more daily market breakdowns throughout next week.